Hello everyone, Peter here with Peter Draws Content-Free Podcast, Episode 6, Season 1, Volume 1. We are continuing on. Not starting off with coffee talk today, since I have some other stuff I want to talk about. It seems appropriate to continue on with some thoughts that I meant to talk about in a previous video I recently made. A video where I was drawing on toilet paper, and I had some thoughts about drawing on things, which is not totally uncommon for me. I'm a person that likes drawing, and so I think about drawing on things fairly often. Sometimes if I'm falling asleep at night, or sitting in the shower, or driving somewhere, or sitting somewhere else in my house, or various other places in my worldly existence. But lots of times when I'm existing, I do this thing, thinking, and I think about things to say in videos, since I say things in videos, and I think about these things, and then when I sit down to say the things in the videos, it doesn't really come out that way like I expected, and I have little remnants, and maybe I can fit some of these remnants into these podcasts, so you can get a little bit of the leftovers, or maybe it'll even be better than the thing that was in the actual video. I don't know. What I'm trying to say is that I didn't say everything I meant to say, and I don't know, maybe it came out worse or better, or it doesn't really matter. One thing, so basically in that video, if you haven't seen it, I talked about how, or I meant to talk about how there's a lot of drawings and designs places. Like sometimes you can get wallpaper. I feel like in the past it was a trend to have wallpaper with designs on it, right? You would walk into a house, and one of the in the back of your mind there was always like the static of wallpapery designs, right? Just like it was everywhere, like floral or lines, pinstripes. But now it seems fairly popular to have just blank walls, usually some sort of off-white, some sort of eggshell color. Like my walls right now are kind of eggshell. I don't know. There's a million different colors and a million different names for each subtle variation of color. But wallpaper doesn't seem to be that popular anymore. Also, years ago, even right after wallpaper was as popular, various pastels were more popular and bright colors. It probably depends on what type of place you live in, but I feel like various muted colors are more popular these days. I don't know why. Another thing I was thinking about. None of this is really supposed to make any sense, by the way. If you're listening to me right now, this should not be your first podcast you're listening to. It's okay if this is your first content-free podcast, but if it is, and you're wondering why did Peter just jump right into this? Why isn't it making any sense? It's not really supposed to make any sense or follow any sort of logical progression. It's not supposed to, so it's okay if you're not really following. Another thing I was thinking about was there is this one road near me, a highway, which leads in and out of my city where I live, Wilmington, which is exceedingly boring. Boring. Did I say boring? Boring. And it should not be. I mean, the things along it aren't necessarily boring. There are trees. There's grass. There's all sorts of interesting things which themselves are not boring. Like, I like trees. I like grass. If I could get out of the car and look at them closely, I would not be bored. But driving along, or being a passenger as they all whiz by for hours and hours, they kind of, they turn into a blur, and they do get boring. I'm sure there's other places like this in the United States or anywhere else in the world, and it all kind of, it kind of grinds, as you move, it grinds into a halt. It feels like you're not actually moving, and it's like it's the same thing over and over again. Nothing changes, even as your location changes. And I feel like maybe I wouldn't want to block the view because that just seems wrong, because there's nature out there, and it seems like moving in the wrong direction morally to put up things that would block the view. I mean, there's already some billboards, and that seems like morally the wrong decision to put up more junk. But maybe like down by the edge of the road, we could put up like little strips of signage, but nothing commercially, nothing that has a commercial purpose, but just an artistic thing. Like maybe something that the passengers that already have their faces glued to the window, just looking out, like little kids that are sitting there staring out the window, watching everything whip by, daydreaming. They could look at kind of like a flip book that changes as you watch the scenery flip by, like a little strip on the guardrail. You know how there are guardrails? We could I just thought of this just now. Why don't we put art on the guardrails? That would be cool. It's already plain metal. Why don't I put art on the guardrails? All right, I would settle for that. I don't think there's a lot of places you can drive by in the United States, especially like out west and in the like the Appalachian Mountains and stuff, where I don't think we should. I mean, we should even take down the guardrails to be able to see more stuff. Like, there's a lot of places where you're driving through the Great Smoky Mountains and Blue Ridge Mountains, where even just the guardrails upset me sometimes because they block your view a little bit, and I want to be able to see as much as possible. It's amazing out there. It really is. But sometimes just driving along, it's nice to just a little bit more variety, just because all the trees, it all just becomes the same thing. It does. I think we should put because I've talked about how I used to imagine when I was a little kid, a little man running along and jumping up and over and around stuff and through stuff and blowing stuff up. You could make a little flip book kind of sort of thing of a little man running along the guardrails, art style. I don't know what I'm talking about. Just ideas flipping through my head. I don't know, but sometimes when I'm talking like this, I'm like in the middle of a thought, and then my mind just goes totally blank. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing. Oh, but anyways, most of this stuff would be totally obsolete now. It would be good a while ago, but I feel like a lot of it's obsolete now that everyone has phones now. They can just start, scrolling through Reddit or 9gag or Twitter or Tumblr or whatever their preferred poison of choice is. They can just do whatever they want on their phones, or even little kids that don't have phones yet are tucked away in the back seat of the minivan with the DVD player flipped down from the ceiling, watching Aladdin or Finding Dory for the millionth time. Everyone's kind of, absorbing stuff that way now. They don't need to watch my little flip stuff stuck to the guardrail outside the window anymore. Everyone's entertained that way. I was about to say nobody's bored anymore, but I feel like people are still bored even while they're trying not to be bored, Even while we're looking through stuff on our phones, we're still bored. It's weird. Also, you got to be careful these days with crazy people in your cars. Keep your car locked all the time. Not just when you pull up to an intersection and there's shady looking people around and you lock your car. I was walking outside my apartment complex the other day, and I went to get in my car, which is kind of beige colored, or as I say, damp Band-Aid color. It's not a very attractive color. I don't know why this color is so popular. Just make like a white car, a black car, a blue car. Make it like a real color, not this weird light burnt sienna, like skin colored. Like, I don't know, why is tan such a popular car color? Is it because it doesn't show dirt well? I don't know, but it's a very ugly car color, despite me having it. I don't really care what color my car is. I just want to get from point A to point B. You know what I'm saying? Like Bruce Almighty. But anyways, I walked out of my apartment, walked out into the parking lot. I opened my car door, and I got halfway into the car before I realized that it wasn't my car. Because I only realized this because there were cloth seat interior instead of my car has leather interior, or it's probably fake leather, pleather. They kind of freaked me out. This was it was a Chevy Impala. My car's an Altima. Who just leaves their car in a parking lot of a apartment complex like this totally unlocked? It scared me. I felt like I was in some weird... I had just woken up a few minutes before, so I read somewhere at one point, this is probably totally untrue, that you can't be, accused or held responsible for a lot of serious crimes. I think I might have read murder within the first 15 minutes of waking up because you're not, like mentally sane or something like that, because you really are kind of out of it right when you first wake up. That might have been why I got in the wrong car, but it was just like out of the corner of my eye. See a car, right shape, right color, get into it. But it wasn't my car. My car was like 5 more spaces down. So I shut the door, went over, got in my car, drove away. I hope no one saw me do that. Anyways, even if I did, that's an honest mistake, getting into someone else's car. And then the other day, I was at the post office, and I saw some lady kind of, walk out of the post office. She was looking down, preoccupied with the mail in her hand, kind of flipping through it. And she went over to a nice Cadillac and opened the door to get in. But there was already someone sitting in the driver's seat, and that lady said, "Excuse me," and pulled the door shut. And then the lady who tried to get in was all flabbergasted, and the lady who was already in it was all flabbergasted. And I feel like that just had to have been a really crazy situation for both of them. First of all, there's already someone, for one lady, there's already someone in the car you're trying to get into, which really must have surprised her. And then for the other lady, someone is trying to get into your car, and you're just sitting there. I don't know. That's just... Those two events happen pretty close to each other in my little timeline, like only a day or two apart. That's pretty nutso. Now, I have been doing a fair amount of driving lately, and it's times like these when I'm very thankful that I have a fairly reliable car, because when you have to drive 3 hours over to the next town, not the next town, but across the state a little ways, 3.5 hours, it's very stressful to have to do that when you're just not quite sure, or when you're always kind of expecting your car to break or just to fall apart or just bad things to happen any second. My personality, I'm always kind of expecting bad things to happen any second, or kind of wanting them to. I don't know. I have kind of a pessimistic outlook on things, just so maybe when things don't happen badly, I'll be pleasantly surprised. Maybe. I'm not sure. But I've been doing a lot of driving back to my parents' hometown to see them for various reasons. You know how life is. Things happen. And anyways, I usually try to drive at night. I like driving at night. I leave like after midnight. And if it's a 3.5 hour drive, I get there like as the sun is coming up. If I leave after midnight sometime, like 1, 2, 3, sun's coming up at like 5 or 6. I don't know how the sun works, but it comes up, or the earth turns, or the sun swings around on a big swinging arm. Maybe it's on like a wrecking ball sort of mechanism. We don't really know. We haven't figured that out yet. Science is whatever we want it to be. Anyways, I drive at night, and I like driving at night because the road is clear. You can just cruise. The downsides, of course, to driving at night is that it's almost too soothing. Actually, there's a lot of downsides to driving at night. There's a lot of downsides to driving in general. I've said this before. I won't rehash this again about how incredibly mind-bogglingly dangerous driving is, and I don't know how all of us do it all the time. I guess it's just like one of those things we haven't figured out a better way to do. But driving is awful, and people die all the time, but we still keep doing it just because we have to get around, and we can't afford to fly. I mean, flying seems dangerous too, but statistically it's less dangerous, maybe just because less people do it. Do you think if as many people flew as drove, there would be more or is it per capita sort of thing? It's less. I don't know how it works. Anyways, I like driving at night, but I usually try to sleep before I drive at night. Thankfully, I can do that because of my lax and loose lifestyle. Even if I'm right when most people would be going to bed, I'm getting up out of bed, and then I hit the road fresh, ready to go. Even though it's only 3 hours, to me, driving, it's a very soothing thing, and it puts me right to sleep. Like the vibrations from the road, the wum wum wum, the sound, everything about it is very relaxing. Like if I'm in a car, if I'm in the passenger seat, I can sleep very easily. Same thing with an airplane. I can just almost as soon as I get on the airplane, I can put in my earphone. I have like noise canceling, like they're like actually IEMs. They're called in-ear monitors. They like cancel. They block out almost all sound. But there's just enough sound coming in and like just vibrations from the airplane that just I knock out instantly before everyone even finishes getting on the airplane. I pass out. I miss the whole safety briefing. I miss everything. I don't get a beverage or a snack. And I just wake up from people jostling me to get their luggage and stuff. Once the plane, I don't even feel the plane land most of the time. It's pretty great. I don't even have to take drugs. A lot of people take drugs to pass out during plane flights, but maybe those are like weird, like those red eyes, those really long flights. Those are a little bit more harrowing. I'll admit those flights are a little bit worse. Mostly because, like, you gotta like stretch your legs. I get like weird. I just want to get up and like walk around, like kick a door down or something. That's the worst part about the long flights. You start feeling cramped. That's when those first class, business class seats start paying off, I suppose. Anyways, I try to be well rested before I start driving anywhere significant, just because driving makes me so sleepy. So, and then I hit up these highways that are just pitch black for so long. Pitch black. There's no lights. There's no street lights, right? And because it's in the dead of night, I'm often the only car. I don't see a car behind me. I don't see a car in front of me. And just every now and then on the other side of the highway, there's like a median, like a ditch in the middle. There's something separating. There's 2 lanes going my way and 2 lanes coming the other direction, but they're not like touching in the middle. Because it's like an interstate highway. There's all sorts of different roads. If I say 4-lane highway, do you imagine 2 going one way and 2 going the other? Is that what that means? I was always confused about that. But that's what I mean. There's 2 going my way, 2 the other. And I'm always confused about what to do about high beams. First of all, I'd like to throw on the high beams and be able to see farther, in case there's like any deer staying by the side of the road. I don't know what I would do about the deer if I saw them, like swerve, hit the brakes. I guess it's really only deer in physically in the road that I should do anything about this. But I guess if there's deer by the side of the road, I can just be ready to do something. But if a deer jumps into the middle of the road, I feel like swerving is incredibly dangerous. Like swerving might be just as bad as hitting a deer at 75 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour. Because you can start. That's when people roll. They swerve and then their car flips. It starts flipping and rolling and spinning. It turns into like a crazy, like a Twinkie, and you're the cream inside. It's not good. And I don't know what I would do in a deer situation. I'd probably just close my eyes and hope it all ended well. Anyways, the high beams are nice because it makes it feel less like the road is being procedurally generated like 25 feet in front of the car. But then if I keep the high beams off, I trust that the highway it's a solid highway, and if nothing crazy is going to happen within after 25 feet, and I can just keep cruising, and I can pretty much only see the lines sloping ahead out of me, and then sometimes I turn on the high beams, but then when someone starts coming towards me the other direction, I feel like I've got to turn them off, because sometimes I see other people turn them off, so I don't blind them. So I'm like turning them on and off, and it's kind of fun to do. But then sometimes I realize I've been driving along for 15, 20 minutes and I had my high beams on for the whole time. I just like zoned out and I didn't realize that I could have been blinding. Maybe there's like a whole highway, like 10 miles of highway behind me, just with ditches full of cars. I've run off the highway because I had my high beams on and they couldn't see anything. Who knows? So I don't know. Maybe I'm just not responsible enough to have high beams. Maybe I don't deserve them. There was never like a high beam test in driver's ed, like a test you had to like operate high beams for 10 minutes to see if you could pay attention for that long. I don't know, maybe I start daydreaming too much when I'm driving at night because it's just me and the highway and there's like no other cars you have to pay attention to on your side of the road. And that's good. I like that part of it. You just cruise. And I do speed. I feel like the higher the speed limit is, the more I go over the speed limit. Is this a bad idea? Admitting to committing crimes? Recording myself doing that on the internet? I'm joking. For the record, I'm joking. It's satire. It's not. It is. Me saying it's not satire is another form of satire. Yeah. And then sometimes sometimes you find another person on the highway going the same direction as you, and they're either behind you or you're behind them, and you just kind of speed match them, for like a long time. You feel like you know them intimately. You've never seen their face. You don't even know what kind of person it is. You don't know if it's man, woman, boy, girl. You don't know anything about them, right? But you've been with them for miles and miles. I like driving behind them a little ways because then I just let them do the high beam thing, and the other people are better at it than me. And but then eventually they get off on an exit, or you get off on some exit, and there's no like wave goodbye. It's just all so sudden. It's all so abrupt, and you just kind of wish them good luck and goodbye and bon voyage. But you grew so close, it's a strange bonding moment between strangers that are still strangers after all that. It is weird, but it's special at the same time. Also, I don't use cruise control on my car. I have cruise control, but I don't use it because I feel like keeping my foot on the gas and paying attention to that just makes me a little bit more alert, gives me something to pay attention to. If I'm just sitting there in the car and I don't have my feet on anything, I just have my hands on the steering wheel, it's so much easier for me to fall asleep. Really hearing me talk about how easy it is for me to fall asleep at the wheel, it sounds like I shouldn't even be allowed in a vehicle. I can't even operate the high beams. But they let me drive around. They do. And I've never been in an accident somehow. One time I was in an accident and it was all my fault. I was sitting at a stoplight, and this is in South Carolina, so it was like a wild land out there, no man's land. It was crazy. And sitting at a stoplight behind some lady, and then I dropped my bottle of water onto the floor of the passenger side of the car, and I leaned over to pick it up. It might have been a bottle of Gatorade or Sody Pop, and I leaned over to pick it up, but I was so concentrated on leaning over to pick up this bottle of water, Gatorade, Sody Pop, that apparently I took my foot off the brake while we were sitting at the stoplight, and I just rolled forward like 4 feet and bumped into the back of this lady's car in front of me. And it scared me as much as it scared her. And then she got out and she came back. She's like, "What was that?" She's like waving her arms all around like I had been like aggressively ramming her over and over again or something. I'm like, sorry, it was an accident. And so she like pulled in up ahead and I pulled in behind. I should have just kept driving. She pulled in like way in front of me, and I could have just blasted ahead. Like I didn't even do anything to her. See, there's these 2 big bolts on the front of my car holding on the front license plate. Like they stick way out. And there's no reason for them to stick way out. They could have been flush, way, not even more that flush, but way more flush. And nothing would have happened. But she had like a plastic bumper on her like little SUV thing, and it would just put two tiny little dents in her bumper, and she was just going nuts. And she wanted to get out, so she got all my information, and I barely talked her out of calling the cops. I just gave her all my insurance information, and I got out of there as soon as I could. But it was, I think that's the only accident I've ever been in that was my fault. Thankfully, this. Actually, I don't think the car I was driving at the time had airbags, but that would have sucked if my airbag had gone off just by rolling forward 3 feet. Is there like a amount of impact it takes, like a number of joules? No, wait, is joules? Wait, horsepower? No, wait, impact. Newtons? Wait, ampere? Some sort of impact measurement? There's got to be. Are there like little springs in the front bumper? And when something else touches it, like gets compressed, and then when something else touches something else, it makes the airbag go off? Or is there one of those little accelerometers? Is that what it is? It probably depends on the model of the car and how modern it is. Is there one of those little accelerometers, and if you slow down too fast, it makes the airbag go off? That's probably it. Anyways, I've never been in. Actually, I have. I don't want to talk about it. It's too scary. It's not too scary. It's just don't feel like talking about it. Nobody got hurt. Don't worry. It's not like it's not like a scarred. It's not like a terrible thing. I just don't feel like talking about it. That's all. Like, that's okay. You don't have to talk about things if you don't feel like talking about them. I will tell you, however, sometimes I go to this hot bar at the grocery store. I've told some people about this, but I haven't told them one aspect of this. It's like a buffet. It's like a hot bar. You grab like a little tray that closes, and then you pay at the self. I usually pay at the self checkout. You can choose different things. They have different things, different days. A lot of days. I mean, I'm a big fan of chicken wings. So a lot of times I grab chicken wings and put them in my little container tray. It clips shut, so you can take it home. I usually take mine home. And the thing is, though, about buying chicken wings, there's always like this weird nagging at the back of my mind telling me I probably shouldn't be buying chicken wings because they price it per weight. You put it on the little scale when you check out. You punch in the little code for like the hot bar, and then you put it on the little scale, and it's the price is calculated per weight. And I'm thinking, I'm getting ripped off here buying these chicken wings like this because I can't eat the whole thing. And they're charging me for the bones inside of the chicken wings. Like the bones inside the chicken wings weigh something, and I can't eat those. Maybe I should just only be buying things from this hot bar that I can eat the entirety of, and really light, fluffy things like souffles. Only go when they have souffle, and only buy that. Bet I could buy a whole thing of souffle for half the price I usually get a whole thing of anything else. Oh, also, another thing I like to do on the road, going back to this real quick, when I have both lanes all to myself, just cruising, lots of times you drive in the left lane. That's like the fast lane, and the right lane is when you're going a little slower. And some states, some places have laws about which lane you're supposed to drive in. Like the left lane is the faster, like a passing lane, like you should only drive in that lane when you're passing people or whatever. Well, it doesn't really matter, right? If you're the only one on the road. So what I like to do sometimes is kind of straddle both lanes. It's a good feeling, but I don't straddle it completely evenly like my car. Like, what I do is I put my body, my poor little body, in the driver's seat right over that dotted line going down between the two lanes. And it's a very strange sensation. It increases the feeling of speed and movement when that dotted line between the two lanes is zooming down right underneath you, instead of, it's usually going like beside you, and then there's like a solid white line or yellow, whatever color the lines are. It's usually going beside you, but when you put that dotted white line zooming right up beneath you under your feet, it's just like, it feels like you're going a lot faster. And there's then there's the two solid lines on either side of you. And those are all pointing and going. There's like a weird vanishing point way out in the horizon, because this is usually like like a straight highway. I can't really see. You can't see where they're going because this is in the middle of the night, where my headlights, I don't have my high beams on, of course, and this is the middle of the night, and it's all being procedurally generated, like 15, 20 feet ahead of me. Because my headlights are on, and thankfully the stripes, however they make these road stripes, they're like a little bit reflective. So the road stripes you can see a little bit farther ahead than the rest of the physical world, and that makes it even a little bit more trippy. Those kind of like point out ahead and come together in the middle of all the nothingness, and the dotted line that you're zipping over is blipping out of nowhere. It's just a cool kind of surreal feeling. So sometimes I drive right down the middle. I do that. I do that. Also, lately I've had this problem in the shower where I keep on putting my body wash on my hair as if it was shampoo. So I've gone through several phases in my life where sometimes I use bar soap for my body, and sometimes I use body wash, is it liquid? Is shampoo liquid? Is that considered a liquid? I think it is a liquid, but it's more of a goo. It's more of a goop, right? And I think it really is. For my whole life, I've used shampoo. So whenever I have like a puddle of showery soap in my hand, it's just my instinct to smush that onto my hair. So I almost always, I think what I do is I wash my hair first. Yeah, I always wash my hair first, then I wash my body. So I wash my hair first, and then if I'm using body wash, I put some of that in my hand, and instead of smacking that onto my body, lately, like 3 or 4 showers in a row now, I've put it right into my hair. And it's not the combo stuff. There is body wash that's like combo. It's like shampoo, conditioner, body wash. And you can even scrub your shower walls with it and clean the mirror. And it's Rain-X too. It's everything at once. But this stuff is just body wash, and it makes my hair like really rough feeling again. So then I have to use the shampoo all over again. And I'm not using conditioner right now. I was only using conditioner when my hair was really long because, I don't know, I'm really glad that I cut my hair because it was such a pain. Sometimes I would I would be like pretty stinky and pretty grimy feeling, but I would put off taking a shower just because my hair was such a pain to deal with after a shower. You know what? It was just, I was blow drying my hair every time I took a shower, just because if I didn't blow dry my hair, I just couldn't stand the feeling of my, even if I dried it as best I could with a towel and everything, it would just still feel like matty and wet and gross and grimy. I probably talked about that in a podcast before. I must have. I've done podcasts before when my hair was still long, right? I don't remember. The past is a flaky thing for me. But anyways, I feel like maybe after I finish this bottle of body wash, or maybe before, I'll try switching back to the some bar soap. Also, I'm about to finish this bottle of shampoo. I'm gonna try to, I don't know, I'm having like this weird thing right now where my body is like very itchy sometimes, like my legs, and it's like my legs will be itchy. I think it's my water. Like I've mentioned this before, and I thought I've just been like waiting it out because I thought maybe it would just go away. My body would adjust, or the water would adjust, or nothing has changed. Sometimes I'm still just very itchy. It's usually my legs that are very itchy. So first I'll try changing my soap. I'll get a new shampoo, new body soap, and if that doesn't help me be less itchy, just like random fits of itchiness, sometimes on my ears and my scalp, and sometimes on my legs. Now, I mean, I guess my shampoo does get on my legs because as I rinse it off of my scalp, it it washes all over my legs, but it's not like I'm scrubbing it into my legs. Anyways, I'm sorry if this is like weird talking about being in the shower so much, but it's just the realities of life, I hope you all take showers. I don't take baths. I've never really got to take good baths. I've never had much good bath experience in my life because my mom never really let me take a good solid bath. She never let me put more than like 2 inches of water in the bathtub because she was afraid I would splash it out everywhere and ruin the bathroom. I guess it would be pretty bad if you splashed out a ton of water and like flooded the bathroom. It would start like rotting the joists underneath, and I don't know how it works. I don't know, she probably had good reasons, but always in the movies there's always like people lounging in bathtubs, full of bubbles and putting salts and stuff in there, and they just look like they're having the grandest time ever. And I never got to do that, so I just took a shower. Of course, I don't think baths are good for cleaning yourself. I think we can all agree on that. Maybe they are. You can do whatever you want, but it's kind of a little gross to, scrub dirt off yourself and then just sit in there in the dirty water. But I guess maybe if you take a rinse afterwards. Oh, speaking of dirty water, I haven't talked about my coffee situation recently. My coffee filter has this weird feature where, my coffee maker, my coffee machine has this weird feature where it has this little thing you stick down in it, and it has these little weird smushy, I don't know what they're called, but it says I think when I first got it, I perused. I think you just call it perusing the manual. You don't peruse through something, you just peruse it. And I think they're like filters. No, they're like cleansers. No, I think they're filters. They're not like the coffee filters, they're water filters. It's like down, and you stick them in this thing, you stick them way deep down inside the coffee maker, and there's like charcoal inside of the filters. And you're supposed to switch them out like every month or 2 months or 3 months or something like that. Anyways, I'm not good at keeping track of that. Anyways, I just now switched it out, and the coffee was getting bitter again, which you might not be surprised to hear at this point. And then after I switched it out, it was unbitter. But the time before, when it was like really bitter and I thought it was bitter, is also a time when I had also accidentally put way more coffee in the coffee filter than I meant to, because I was like pouring it in there. I was like pouring coffee into the coffee filter, and then like a whole bunch of it suddenly like went and it was like I accidentally put more coffee in there. So I think the coffee does get stronger and bitterer if you put more coffee in there, and less bitterer if you put less coffee in there. But also it's probably good to switch out that filter every now and then. I don't know why though. I don't know what it does, but it couldn't hurt. Maybe it could hurt. It says there's charcoal in it. That doesn't sound healthy. I don't know how it works. I'll just do what they say. Yeah, but you gotta when you pull out a new little fresh filter, you gotta soak it in water for 10 or 15 minutes, and then you put the fresh one in the coffee maker. It's complicated. You just gotta do what they say. But I'll tell you what else, and I'll tell you right now, my trip to the grocery store earlier today was strangely fraught with friction. You know how they kind of smush together these parking lots, and there's these weird amalgamations of little streets through the parking lots with little stop signs just kind of randomly placed everywhere, and there's a stop sign here, stop sign there, and there's little lines on the road showing where you're supposed to stop. And as long as there's no other cars coming, people don't really stop at these stop signs, right? You just kind of cruise around slowly, 5 miles an hour, whatever your little, not neutral, but, cruising speed is without putting any gas on your car, just kind of cruise, stop. But when it really comes down to it, if there's more than one person at the intersection, whoever came to the intersection should go first. And I came to one of these weird little intersections, and I stopped at the line because I saw there were other cars around. I stopped, And I pulled forward and I did a left turn across the intersection, but the other car was just going to blow through it, like most people usually do. But it wasn't good to blow through it, the other car coming the other direction, because I was trying to turn left across it. And, I mean, I had the right of way because I had gotten to the intersection first. So I just kind of kept driving. I was like, if I'm about to get into a nice little low-speed parking lot accident, I mean, this is it. I had the right of way. He's going to hit me. I'm not going to hit him. And he came pretty close to hit me. He had to put on the brakes. I mean, he didn't even think about stopping at the stop sign. It would have been all his fault or her fault. I mean, whatever. And then so I pulled through that intersection, and then there was someone trying to back out of a parking spot like 20 feet after that, and I just kept cruising. I was not going fast. That person stopped backing out of a parking spot, and I kept pulling forward and found a parking spot, and I parked, and I thought everything was going fine. But then the person who was backing out of that parking spot apparently was pretty upset that I hadn't stopped to let them finish pulling out of their parking spot instead of driving on by like I had the full right to do. Like, anyway, so she pulled up and was like, and it was some lady in a car, and she said, I had just gotten out of my car, and I was just stepping out into the parking lot, and she said, "Guess you didn't see me backing up, huh?" And I was kind of scowling into the low afternoon sunlight, and I didn't say anything. I just kind of adjusted my scowl from the sunlight to her, and I didn't see. It was kind of a weird moment. You know how sometimes you're looking, but you're not really seeing anything? Like for the life of me, I can take myself back to that moment, but I can't remember what she looked like or what her car looked like. I think it was a hatchback. It could have been red. It could have been green. I don't know. But she said, "Guess you didn't see me backing up, huh?" In kind of an aggressive tone. I didn't say anything. I just scowled. Like, what? In my mind, I was too busy in my mind going through all the possibilities of why in the world she was talking to me and saying this ridiculousness to me, to respond. And then she said, "Guess you didn't." And then she drove off. Like, why would you even go up to someone and say that? We didn't get in an accident. She didn't even have to slam on the brakes really hard. Like, there was no near collision. She experienced the most mild inconvenience possible of starting to back out and then having to wait for someone that has the right of way to drive by in a parking lot. But why would you go up to someone like that in a parking lot? And what's the end result? What was she wanting? Was she wanting me to apologize? Because in my head, as soon as she said that to me, I was already fist fighting with her. I'm like, where is this supposed to end up? This is supposed to, is she expecting this to be like a fight to the death or something? Is that what she wants? Is that why she's approached me, this complete stranger who has done nothing? Maybe she thought I had done her a mortal wrong. I don't know. I was flabbergasted. I don't know. It's so weird to me. Like, either you call the police because if you think I did something really, really bad, call the police. Or if you're going to come up to me, you better be ready to throw down. I'm not even the fighting type, but suddenly I was ready to be the fighting type. That's why I didn't know what she looked like or what her car looked like, because I was suddenly running through my head where this was heading, and I was ready to fight some random lady in the parking lot because she thought I was driving poorly or something. I don't know. It's just so weird to me. Why would she even say that to me? Guess I didn't see her. I totally saw her backing out. I had the right of way, so I kept on driving. So weird. So I went in and bought the paper towels and toilet paper I needed. I also got some instant coffee because I'm going to try to use that for an art project. I finally figured out what instant coffee is. It's weird crystallized coffee grounds. Coffee, it's the essence of coffee crystallized. instead of just ground coffee. Before I had been looking at Folgers. Folgers, Folgers makes ground coffee and instant coffee. So I was confused. I was looking at just the Folgers ground coffee. I was thinking all of Folgers was instant coffee. I'm like, it says ground coffee. And I was just looking on the wrong shelf. There's like a shelf above that says instant coffee. That's the stuff I needed. And I bought some. So a little spoiler for you there. I might try doing watercoloring with instant coffee sometime. I don't know when. It could be in a million years from now. But now I have the art supplies just sitting around. It's like, it's one less thing keeping me from doing it, It's there. It's ready. I can grab it when I have the urge. And I can start messing around with it and doing it. So we'll see. We will. It's hard to know when you're going to do an art project because, I've got tons of art supplies sitting around that I don't use all the time because you can only do one thing at a time. You can do two things at a time. Lots of times I breathe and make art at the same time, which is good. It's good that you can do that. It is. Anyways, I'm always amazed by how difficult it is to think of things to say in this content-free podcast. The world is so vast and wild and endless, and there's so many different things in it to talk about that I can never, relatively, compared to how many things there are, I can never think of any of them. I think, and then when I try to think of a thing, just like a random thing off the top of my head, I feel like the same thing I always think of is trees and how crazy trees are and how the branches know when to split off to a new branch and how that, like when and why do leaves know how to grow on the branches, and like I guess it is kind of a pattern. Like if a branch, like sometimes it's like off one side and then it's the other, it kind of like goes back and forth. But each tree is a little bit different. And why is each tree a little bit different? Why is it the way it grew in the ground, or if you had exactly the same ground conditions, it's just, I guess, in the seed, maybe the sun and the wind. I don't know. I'm no phlebotomist. Biologist. Phlebotomy it's blood drawing. That's not cool. It's just weird how branches branch. How branches branch. That's always, I could wonder about that all day. I'm sure if I looked it up on Wikipedia, I could know. It's like, branches branch for this reason. But some things it's better to wonder about. I've said that before too. Anyways, I'm out. I gotta go work on growing out this neck beard a little bit more, get it nice and bushy. And I gotta go draw the picture for this podcast. So you're watching the picture draw to a close right now, and in my timeline, it hasn't even begun yet. It's just crazy to think about. Mind-boggling. It is. I hope you all have a beautiful day, and just keep it real, everybody. Okay, goodbye. Bye.